Hello everyone. So I've been sharing videos about my investment portfolio, and the most common question is how do you make money, right? What are the revenue sources that you have? And my answer to that is always you have to develop a skill, you have to add value, and in exchange for that value, you will get paid, you will earn, you will make money, right? So today we're going to jump to the portfolio at the end of this video. So you're going to do something different. Today we're going to explore one of the revenue streams that I have, which is Airbnb. I'm going to show you exactly how I generated 30 lakhs in revenue using Airbnb. And I'm currently a super host. You can look at my hosting profile. I have over 450 reviews on Airbnb and an average rating of 4.91%. I've been hosting for 6 years. Of course, this was just a slow start 6 years ago. And then I almost decided to completely stop in 2020 for obvious reasons. And I'm going to explain how I went through that phase and how I got the courage to continue, and eventually how I got to here, because most of the revenue generated from Airbnb was after when tourism again picked up after the pandemic, right? So this is my hosting profile. You can go ahead and check it out on Airbnb as well. Now, the first thing to understand is listings, because I did not have upfront money to buy properties and then put them on Airbnb. So I was basically leveraging other people's properties, right? So people had properties, but they did not have marketing. Remember that it's all about your core skill, one skill that you develop, and then you generate multiple revenue streams around that skill, right? So my core skill is digital marketing. And from there, I was able to generate these 11 listings that I have right now. All of them have 4.9 plus listings, ratings, and they're all in Vietnam. So that's one common thing about all of these listings, that they're all in Vietnam. And Vietnam, I was betting on will grow as a country for tourism. I had these listings 6 years ago, and now if you know about travel in Vietnam, you know that a lot of Indians are traveling to Vietnam. A lot of people around the world are traveling to Vietnam. So I was betting on Vietnam 6 years ago, and now it's actually proving to be a tourism destination. It's picking up against its other Southeast Asian rivals such as Thailand and Singapore and Malaysia and Indonesia and so forth. But here's how the story goes, right? So I was traveling in Vietnam 6 years ago, and I thought that this will be a good country to bet on when it comes to Airbnbs, right? How do you start thinking about all of these things? You have to first build your core skills. So don't forget about that. Let's get to the fundamentals, right? What's the big idea here? The big idea is that you need to build one core skills, and then you need to build multiple revenue streams around it. Just like we diversify our portfolio with large cap, mid cap, and small cap, we also diversify our revenue streams so that if one of those revenue streams is down, for example, for me, Airbnb was down during the pandemic. And at that time, I was doing something else, right? And at that time, I was actually doing a little bit of swing trading. I had freelancing clients in different industries that were going online. There was ed tech. There was a lot of industries that were going online at that point of time. So I moved my focus. But then I switched back to Airbnb when the tourism was picking up again, right? So you need to have multiple revenue streams around your core skill. Think of it with this example, right? So you have assets. Let's say you have 2 cars, right? Now you can have stream 1, which is to sell one of the cars. You make money and then you can invest that. Stream 2 could be that you rent one of the cars. So you sell one, you rent one. Now you have cash flow plus you have lump sum. So you can do lump sum investments plus SIP. Think of all your revenue to trickle down into profits into your investments, right? That's the most important thing to think about. Eventually, the bottom line is to put the money back into your holdings, into your investments. So one car you sold, now you have a lump sum amount to invest. The second car you rented, now you have a cash flow to run an SIP. Stream 3, be a taxi, again, a cash flow business. Stream 4, sell ad space, again, leveraged business. You leverage the car and you have an upsell here, right? So you can also use this for cash flow. So those are different streams that you can generate from one particular core skill. So what is my core skill? My core skill is full funnel growth marketing, right? So it's a little bit, if you think of it from a fundamental sense, it's like digital marketing, but it focuses on the full funnel of marketing. Now, everywhere I can see a funnel. If I can see a funnel, I can improve it. That means I can drive results for a business. If I can drive results for a business, I can get paid in proportion to the results that I drive for that business, right? So Airbnb is also a funnel, right? So you have your Airbnb listing, then you have your impressions because of your optimization of the listing. Then you have people searching and you showing up. That's your SEO aspect. And then you have people booking your listing because of your copy that you've positioned there, because of the photos that you have there. And you can run different experiments to improve the conversion funnel, right? So this is how the Airbnb conversion funnel is. Now, it's a very humble start. I was actually staying at one of the homestays in Airbnb and I started converting them to Airbnbs. I mean, they were homestays. They did not have Airbnb. And then I converted them to Airbnb, started promoting them, got them from a 10%, 15% occupancy rate to a 50%, sometimes 55% occupancy rate, right? So though they had more nights booked, and all the additional nights that I got them bookings from Airbnb, I would charge a percentage of that. That was my core revenue model. But let's think about this in a different way. What if your core skill is digital marketing and you had to generate multiple revenue streams? You don't even have to be that smart. If you just ask ChatGPT, put all the possible revenue streams of digital marketing in a table format, this is what you get, right? Freelance services, digital marketing agency, online courses, training, affiliate marketing, content creation, monetization on your content, paid sponsorships, collaborations, consulting services. You can charge hourly, you can take consulting projects. You have ebooks and guides. You can sell books. You have online community memberships. You can charge a subscription for that. You can do public speaking workshops when you have more experience, right? You can do white label services. So maybe you can provide services to other marketing agencies. You can do drop shipping, start an e-commerce store, influencer marketing, subscription, start a newsletter, start charging people for the newsletter. You can do audits, right? So audit other people's marketing. Sometimes way easier to do than actually marketing other people's services, right? You can do analytics, digital product sales, corporate training programs, podcasting. Like there's so much more that you can do than you would imagine if you had to sit down and write about ideas. So now you have access to AI tools to actually help you ideate. What all can you do? You build a core skill and then you develop all of these revenue streams, right? So let's get to the story now about the Airbnb. So I'm going to show you my host profile. Let me show you my listings, okay? So these are the listings that I have. Now, this is the latest one. This is actually an apartment that I've got, my wife has purchased, and this is the one that we are now going to put on Airbnb. And the other apartments, all of the other properties are properties that I've started over the years. The first one I did in 2018, 2019 was the second one. And since then I've been adding these listings, right? So even in the same properties, I've asked those homestay owners and the property owners to actually build new floors, to actually build a swimming pool, for example, to start a restaurant, cafe, and this is all cross-selling and upselling. So all of this 30 lakhs of revenue, I'm not going to include the revenue that we get from partnerships, which could be, for example, partnering with travel companies, partnering with tour companies, transportation, providing transportation is a big additional revenue stream. I'm not going to include the cafes and restaurants. This revenue is only from the bookings, right? So if I go into my dashboard, I look at my transaction history. I'm just going to go back and show you from 2018, right? So this is all of the amount paid out. These are all the people who've booked, etc. If I switch to the partner homestay, this is one of our partner homestays. And I'm going to go back to 2018 again. Probably this is the one I started in 2019. So it's the same. So this is the amount paid out. And then I have the team transaction history. So what I've done is I've exported all of this data. So I've exported and separated it out because I didn't want to waste your time in the video. But the Vietnamese properties have a currency in VND. Then there's a separate bank which I use for the USD payments. So I've calculated them, and this is the partner homestay that I've calculated. So all of the three properties, what I've done is I've just put the total here, and the total comes out to be around 915,900,109 Vietnamese dong, which is around 30 lakhs in INR in total revenue. Right? So that's the entire revenue generated. So how do you do this, right? The first step is that you have to find properties. Okay. So of course, these don't have to be your own properties. There are some properties that I had, but I unlisted them because the partnership didn't work out with the property owners. But you have to actually be on the field and you have to figure out potential opportunities, right? So let me just tell you the story of this one as an example. So this is a beautiful family, a homestay in North Vietnam where I was staying, and I realized my room is booked and there's another family staying in the other room, which is this family. And the rest of the team here is from the homestay. They are a very nice, friendly family. So what's the issue? Why do they not have the bookings? That was my question. So I'm an entrepreneur, right? So I'm always asking this question as to why are they facing this problem? And maybe there's a potential solution that I could have for them, right? So first thing I check is my checklist. All right. Do they have good service? Yes. Do they have clean rooms? Yes. Do they have food? Yes, they have food. They have almost everything, right? Do they have a listing on Agoda? Yes. They have booking? Yes. Agoda is pretty popular in Southeast Asia. You have to be on the field so that you can understand these details. But in Southeast Asia, for example, Agoda gives you a better price, more options than booking.com, even though they are both pretty much the same company. Then I realized, okay, they don't have Airbnb. And a lot of foreigners are looking at Airbnb. So I just gave them a suggestion. You can set up Airbnb. Now I'm not thinking about making money all the time. So I'm telling them, you can set up Airbnb. They figured it out. They said, this is too competitive. This is a lot of stuff to do. We are not very familiar with this. Can you help us out? Yes, I can. This is the percentage I'm going to charge, but I'm going to manage your entire Airbnb, right? So right from taking pictures, I help them to designing a menu for their restaurant. I help them with sharing what kind of things foreigners would like, for example, because before they had mostly Vietnamese guests, and the way that Vietnamese guests, the things that they want, the things that they like would be slightly different from what foreigners want and what foreigners like. So I just made the whole checklist for them. I built the processes out for them and actually marketed the listings, right? So what are the things that I did, right? So what do you have on the listings page? How do the photos look? What's the conversion rate that you're targeting on your listing page? Once you've done that, I templatized every message to send to the guests about check-in, about transportation, about the upsells. Maybe they need a bus service from the airport, from the nearest city. Maybe they need a tour inside. That's an additional revenue stream. So all of the possible additional revenue streams, I built that whole process out, gave them the process, started managing their listings. Slowly, I trained them to do the check-in, to actually send the messages. I gave them templates to send the messages. Now, one thing that you'll notice in Vietnam is that they don't speak very good English. So I gave them all the templates in English that was ready-made for them to basically start running. So that's how I actually ended up getting all of these partner listings. So you'll have to be on field, you'll have to figure out properties that you can help, and then you'll have to share the ways that you can help them with them. Be friendly, try to help them out, use your skill of marketing to deliver the value. Now, one more deeper level as to how I use my skill of marketing here. So we have analytics. So these are the things that tell you the performance of your Airbnb. Now, quality is something that has to be on ground. This is operational metric. So you have to be good with your guests. You have to deliver clean rooms. This, we have a 5-star rating. 96% of our ratings are 5-star. Overall 4.96. Accuracy. Maybe you're saying there's a swimming pool, but you have to charge extra for the swimming pool. So you have to be very clear in your list. Check-in, how's the check-in experience? So having a process, having an SOP for the check-in is what I did for them. I made an SOP for the check-in. This is what you do when a guest comes. It's not like a guest comes, you're sitting there drinking some chai or whatever, talking to your friends on your mobile phone. Those are the kinds of experiences that we don't like, right? But especially foreigners don't like. And I know that in India, the hotel industry, if it's a big hotel, it's a very good experience. If it's a very small one, sometimes it could be a very bad experience. And I found that it could be similar in Vietnam. So I was solving for that problem for the guest. So always thinking about the target audience and how can you solve the problem for the target audience. And when you solve the problem for the guest, you're actually going to solve the problem for the homestay owner, because they're going to get more bookings. People are going to prefer their homestay over all of the other homestays in the same area, because these homestays are in the touristy locations, right? So all of the other homestays have equal potential to deliver because in terms of location. So what separates is the service, right? In terms of cleanliness, how many times do you clean, right? So I know that some Airbnbs would clean only if you stay for more than 2 nights or 3 nights. I wanted them to clean every day. So everything that improves the user experience, that improves the guest experience in this case, is going to improve the overall service level and the cleanliness level. And that's going to improve your ratings, right? Communication, SOPs, templates, messages, all of those things helped here, responding to people on time, right? Location, this is something that if you're looking for properties, if you're traveling as a tourist, which I did, you're probably going to end up in the right places, right? So you're going to tourist hotspots, you're looking for properties there. I just did this while traveling as a digital nomad. So between 2016 to, I would say, 2020, I traveled around 25 countries. And that's the time when I was able to figure this whole situation out. And I really betted and narrowed down on Vietnam. Now, you could pick any place which you understand. I started speaking Vietnamese. I started understanding the Vietnamese culture. And that really helped me get into the environment, right? You could also do this in India, of course. I mean, there's no harm in doing this. I think some people are already doing this in Goa, for example. But yeah, you'll have to pick the place that you think you can drive the value, right? So I could drive the value because I was a tourist, I was a foreigner in the country, and I knew what was missing here. And I was a marketeer, which is what filled the gap between the homestay and the guests. Now, metrics are very important with marketing. What's the occupancy rate? So the less occupancy you have means you have empty rooms, you're losing money. So you want to have this as high as possible. Sometimes it's good, sometimes not so good. Right now, it's not the best weather in Vietnam, for example, but this could change from time to time. Cancellation rate. If you have it too high, then you want to change your cancellation policy. But you can also decide, maybe I just want to keep my cancellation policy flexible to increase the number of bookings, and I don't mind the cancellation rate. So by the way, all of these properties are also on local websites. They also get direct bookings. So it doesn't mean that they are completely dependent on Airbnb. So some cancellations from Airbnb, we could also take in direct guests. Sometimes there's just guests walking into the property. So we also have built restaurants outside the property. So if someone is coming to the restaurant, we can literally just ask them if they have a place to stay. Otherwise, they can stay with us. Length of stay, not the most important metric, I feel, as long as you have good bookings coming in. Churn rate is not a big concern with Airbnb. Returning customer rate is not a big concern with Airbnb, especially in tourist hotspots, because people are traveling across Vietnam. They try to keep it simple. I don't complicate things. Try to keep it as market standard. So booking conversion rate. So here you want to improve each stage of the funnel. And as a marketer, you have to understand what metrics and what changes will impact each stage. Think of it like an email. The first thing you see is the subject line. If you have a good subject line, you have a high open rate. Once you open an email, inside you have the content. If you like the content, you have a high click rate. Once you click, you're on the product page or the landing page. Once you're on that page, you like the copy there, you submit the form. You have a lead. Maybe you have a lead, now you get on a call with them. If they like what you're saying, you have a good sales pitch, they convert to a client. Similarly, you have the same thing online here with Airbnb, right? With Facebook ads, for example, you have a creative. If you like the hook, which is the first 3 seconds of the creative, you might watch a little bit more of the video. If you like the message, then you might go and click on the call to action. Then again, you go on the landing page, fill the form, get on a call. Whatever your funnel is, you have to break it down into each step. So here the guest is searching for a keyword. Your listing has to show up for that keyword. Once they see your listing, they like the pictures, they like the reviews, they like the copy, they will book your place. They will request to book your place. So those are all the ways that I eventually, got to this level where I am with Airbnb. Every 3 months, Airbnb will review my numbers, but this is how it currently looks. 4.9 rating, 100% response rate, 99 stays, 305 nights. And this is just for the last year, 0% cancellation. So we don't cancel on guests, right? Like that's something that we keep as priority. So this is how I'm using my digital marketing skill. And I really wanted to show you guys because I like to share my learnings with my investment journey, but I also want to share that this money does not really magically appear from nowhere. You actually have to provide value in terms of your skill. And in exchange for that, once you create value for a business or for someone else, for the end user, you will get value back in return in terms of money. And then once you've got that money, you want to go back and invest it, right? So how do I invest it? This is how my portfolio looks like as of now. So most of my money is in these 3 index. So we have the mid-cap 150 index, we have the next 50, and we have the Nifty 50. So just think of very basic, very simple like this. And I was talking to my daughter yesterday. She's 3 years old and she understands index investing, right? So simple thing I asked her, do you like small companies or big companies? She said, big companies. And I said, big company. She was like, big company. And I said, do you like one big company or so many big companies? And she said, so many big companies. So should Papa put the money in so many big companies or one small company? And she said, so many big companies. And that makes a lot of sense. I mean, that's the essence of my investing strategy. I don't bet on one small company. I don't do, micro caps. I don't do trading. So I just think of, okay, these are the top 250 companies in the country. I know India is going to go as an economy. India is going to grow very, very high as an economy is my bet. So the top 250 companies are going to grow. So what's the first 50 companies? That's Nifty 50. What are the next 50? That's next 50 or junior Bs, as some people have that ETF in their portfolio. And then what are the next 150? That's mid cap 150. So why don't I put most of my money there, right? So that's around 1 crore right there. Then I have, okay, there are some small companies that may do well, but I don't want to put in all of the small companies. Maybe I want to do an actively managed mutual fund for small caps, right? So that's another 25 lakhs there. Then maybe I want the big companies in another geography, which I think is economically stable, right? So that's the US, that's the NASDAQ 100. So that's another 20 lakhs. So that's already 1.45 lakhs, 1.45 crores. If I'm wrong, you can always comment. I think people like that. They want to find some mistakes so they can comment. But yeah, that's how I'm doing the investing portfolio. And this is how you have to build the skill, and then you have to think of the revenue streams which will generate cash flow, and then use that cash flow to put money back in your investments consistently over a long period of time. And that's the real truth about how I've generated this portfolio. So in this video, I tried to cover one of my revenue streams in detail. And if you enjoyed this video and you enjoyed the application of how one core skill can generate revenue in multiple areas, I'm happy to cover other revenue streams as well. But for now, that's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.